Hello people of the tubes, and welcome everyone from the Mumpke audience, because I did an interview with Mumpke Jones and it was great, and I got about 50 subscribers, so that's cool. Oops, that was actually 3 months ago. Well, that's how long it takes me sometimes to get around to editing a video, or I never do, and then I let Reese edit it, like this one. Well, good thing he did it much faster than I would have. Steven Universe, the game, the review of the game. So, you probably haven't heard that there's a Steven Universe game because it's pretty unknown. It didn't get a lot of views on Steam or anything. Views? I meant sales, I guess. Let me look up the Steven. So it's 20 bucks on Steam, and well, I definitely would have liked to buy it for cheaper, but I guess it's basically worth it. Even though it is a bit rough around the edges, it's so very clearly an indie game. Even though, I mean, it's made by the official, I mean, I think it's at least directed by Rebecca Sugar, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of issues with it that aren't a really big deal. For example, there's no pause menu, and I mean, on the face of it, that sucks. You can't pause the game, and there are no options, so I think. Oh great, factually incorrect squid here. Yeah, it turns out there's a pause menu, but it's with enter? Who would have guessed it's enter? Anyways, I guess that's my bad. It's still a pretty lackluster pause menu, so you're allowed to quit, but I mean, you could do that with Alt F4 anyways. There's still barely any options. Oh well, don't think there's options. Anyways, you can't pause the game. That means you can't reload the game. Means you can't, if you're stuck in a bad situation, you can only die. That's the only way you can respawn. But if you're bugged, then you have to restart the game, because there's no main menu to reset the save state, I guess. I mean, not the save state, the game. So you have to restart the game, and that happened twice to me, where one of my characters would just get stuck in a wall, and it was still doing the move for them. It was thinking, oh, it's that character's still moving, but oh, actually he was stuck in a wall, so yeah, I had to restart. It would have gone on forever with just Amethyst rolling into that wall. I guess that's kind of funny though, and it happens very rarely. I've played for a long time and it only happened twice. Which is too bad that you would not have a timeout state for if something like that happens. If an attack takes longer than, I don't know, a minute, then you should stop it, I guess. The other time that happened, an enemy, well, he fell off the map, but then he was placed on top of the map again in a way that interrupted his attack, but it didn't count as interrupting his attack, so that was too bad. I think he should have just died. I don't know why he didn't. That's too bad. But anyways, I really shouldn't talk too much about that because it was quite rare. So basically, it's a really cool game, and I love the visuals. I like the voice acting, I guess, to an extent. Did they get the original voice actors? It's pretty cool anyways. I see it's got 300 reviews on Steam, so I guess that's probably actually not that underground, but still, could do better. Could have been bigger, but I guess for what it is, it's big enough for a little indie game, a little Unity game. And you can tell it's Unity because it has that crazy shadow bug that Unity has, where you move the camera and then the draw distance of the shadows is so small that you can tell that it's there even though it shouldn't be. I mean, you can tell that the shadow is cutting off while you're still looking at them, which is not a thing that should be in a little semi-isometric game like this, where it's just like, yeah, the levels are very limited. You don't need to worry about culling the shadows. You can just maximum shadows would have been fine. Oh well. I guess that's just the way Unity does the shadows, because there are no unlimited shadows. The shadows are always just baked into, I guess, a texture, and the texture is a limited size. I mean, not a texture, just it's not baked onto the textures. It's just, I mean, I guess it is, but at runtime. Anyways, Holy shit, who the hell would listen to this and know what I'm talking about unless they're a game dev? Well, basically, I guess the shadow resolution is limited, and if you have a longer draw distance of shadows, then the shadows get blurry, but then if you don't, then you can tell that the camera moves a little bit too far away from the thing that's just casting a shadow, and then the shadow won't happen. It's too bad, that. Oh yeah, that doesn't even make sense, because the thing that's casting the shadow may be off screen, but it still has to cast the shadow, but I guess it doesn't realize that it should. That's weird. That doesn't relate to the resolution of the shadow, but I guess it just relates to the culling of the shadow. Oh my god, I'm still talking about the shadow. Anyways, Steven Universe, he's, I guess, not a fighter, he's a lover, and that means that he has to at least 3 unspecific friends of his crew to fight for him. I mean, he has an attack, but it's not great, and, well, it only costs 1 action point, which is, I guess, useful, because that means you can use 1 action point at any point, but also means that it deals very little damage, and you have to use it 5 times in a row if you want to use up all your 5 points. But luckily you always have other characters that deal damage for you, so it's not a concern. And Steven Universe in the show is, I guess, more of a support guy usually. He just cheers on his friends, and that helps somehow. And so in this game he has a healing ability, but the funny thing is that he has a healing ability in the show, but in the game, his healing consists of him cheering on his friends, and that somehow heals them, instead of him just using his actual healing power. I thought that was, well, I didn't even realize that until now. What a weird choice. You know, this character has a real healing ability? Well, in this game, healing abilities are just morale boosts, I guess. He got sliced in half by a mean gem. Well, no problem. Steven's here to cheer you up. Well, he can't actually revive you, but still. I mean, not that way anyways. He revives you by using his hamburger backpack and pulling out a rare crystallized tear of his mother that he's found somewhere from a common enemy dropping it. That's pretty crazy. Backpack is pretty cool. I like all the possibilities, but it's also really poorly designed, because there's like 50 items that are in it, and you navigate it by going left and right. I guess the game's probably not designed for PC. Maybe it's a phone game or something, but yeah, sure would have liked some PC controls, and would like to bind some of those items to key buttons to speed up the progress, you know. Or just, if you had categories, that would help, instead of having to go through all of the unsorted items. Why don't you just have healing items and ability point items and other items, and then you can select them, and then you have like 10 times the same items. Well, not 10 times, but like 5 or 3 times. You got like 5 baked goods or something, and then 2 ice creams and stuff, and they're not even next to each other. It's terrible. But it's no issue really, because the game pauses anyway, so it's just annoying, and I guess it won't take long enough. I guess they do actually have categories, but the categories are quest items, battle items, and something else. I guess crafting items. And the thing is that, yeah, okay, those are categories, but the thing is you're never gonna use... I mean, that still doesn't speed up getting those battle items out faster I was talking about. And another thing that really annoys me about the items is that Steven just says, I use an item.
This'll do the trick.
He doesn't say what item it is. I guess you realized that you made too many items, so you didn't have a voice line for each one, but he should have had, at least for the common ones, he should have had a voice line. And I guess it looks like Steven actually did voices for it, so that's cool. Too bad he didn't make more specific ones, because well, everyone has these specific voice lines, but they come up too often, I guess, because they're not specific enough. It's just like whenever you go from one level to another, they say, "Oh, we did a good job" or something. But then you couldn't have looked if you actually did a good job, or if you escaped and just barely or something. I don't know. That should warrant different ones. But they say, "Oh, we did a good job," even if you just popped into this level and left it right again. It's pretty weird. Or maybe there would have just been no need for a voice line if you just entered and left right away. Oh well, too bad. So anyways, you are Steven Universe and you bring your 3 friends, and later in the adventure you get to meet all the other people that you could have put on your party. But I chose to bring Steven's dad along for the entire party, and Connie, I guess, the little girl, because they can combine into they can fuse together, I guess, those two. I guess they didn't have all the cool fusions yet that we see in the finale of the show, so most of the gems don't actually fuse with Steven, I guess, even though some of them do. I haven't tried out many though, because the only gem I like is Amethyst. I mean, not visually, or I guess I don't like her that much, but I guess in the game she has the best attack, which is the whip, which just deals damage to a bunch of enemies. Because otherwise you'd have to attack them one by one, and then you're faced with like 6 enemies, and it would take forever, and you would lose unless you have AoE damage. So that's good. I have Connie for the one hit damage on one target, and Amethyst for the damage on a group, so that's cool. And oh well, later on there's a point where they force you to use Paradox, and I didn't like it because she's annoying, and she builds cannons that shoot so rarely. She builds them and then often they don't shoot the entire battle. It's pretty weird. And she's also the most annoying person in the world. But, you know, there's people who like her. I don't know, why is there always people who like the annoying characters? I'll never understand. But whatever. I mean, I guess she's kind of fun. In the show anyways. She's not fun in the game. Yeah, actually, now that I think of it, I guess they had some pretty cool moments with her. So anyways, the story. So Steven Universe is about, well, I guess there's this gem weapon that threatens to destroy the Earth, but then Steven talks to it and realizes that it's actually a human. No, not a human, a sentient creature, and then he tells it, "You don't need to be a weapon," and then it realizes, "Oh yeah, I don't want to be a weapon, that would be terrible." And then it turns into a little Steven, a light Steven, a Steven made of light, and that's pretty hilarious. But then, I don't remember if that was in the series or not. I think it must have been, but who knows. Anyways, I guess the story of the game is a spin-off of the series that is potentially canon, but it doesn't spoil anything for the series, and that's good. It's just a little standalone adventure where they have to save the light, the light Steven, the prism. That's what it's called. The space gem weapon called the prism that gets activated by Steven and then tamed. But then, oh no, the evil gem shows up and she wants to turn this gem into a weapon once more. And will she succeed? Well, you'll have to see. And you'll have to battle through a series of turn-based events to get to her. And unfortunately the game gets a bit grindy at times. And well, not grindy particularly, because it doesn't. The enemies aren't like super strong, even though the final boss took like no damage and that took forever. But it also didn't deal much damage, so that was a bit anticlimactic. But not to worry. The grinding is that, I don't know, at the end it just shoves you in a room that has a door, and you have to kill 5 enemies for the door to open, and then 5 times in a row it just has the same room again with 5 different enemies. And that was just bizarre, Because up until that point you had to explore levels, and that was fairly entertaining, but then it just did that, and that was confusing. Oh, and then I closed the game, assuming it would have saved, but it didn't save too well. I had to refight those rooms again, so that was too bad. But it wasn't as bad the second time around, so never mind. Oh yeah, so there's no saving, I guess, and you never know when it actually saves. Well, I guess if you unlock a warp pad, that's when it saves. Alright, so yeah, that was alright. It was a good game. I still got some secret areas to open and fight, but weirdly they have just the hardest enemies in them, and they'll just one-shot you. Oh yeah, and I was gonna say, the enemies start out real cool. I mean, real intuitive, even though they're obviously weak, and they take a while to walk to you and then hit you. And then at any point you can pause the game and hit them first if you have action points. But the thing is, later on the enemies don't follow that rule anymore. Later on the enemies have the ability to also pause the game in order to attack you. But why? I mean, why didn't you just make it so that they do their attack in real time, I guess? I mean, up until a point where it can't be cancelled anymore. I know why they have the ability to pause the game and then slowly walk up to you. It's just bizarre design to me. They slowly walk up to you and hit you. Why didn't they make it so that they while they walk up to you can still pause? I mean, they just stand around a while and then they decide to pause the game and walk to you. Why didn't you just make it so they walk to you right away? That's bizarre. So I guess that happens. I don't get why that happens. It would have been better if it had been like that, yeah. Because in the first level you don't know that the enemies would be having that ability, and it wouldn't make sense for them to have that ability. I mean, it's not like you interrupting them actually gives you much advantage if you don't have action points. And if you do have action points, you should be allowed to spend them. That's the whole point of them, isn't it? Is that you slowly wait for them to walk up to you. That's the whole point, is that it's a turn-based game, but it doesn't usually make you wait, because, I mean, no, it doesn't make you, well, at first anyways, it doesn't make you wait for the enemy's attacks, but I guess in the end it does. Oh, and the bosses are the worst in that way. They're like constantly pausing the game and then doing a really slow attack. God, if you pause the game, why don't you just make a fast attack? Everything takes so long as well. Which isn't, yeah, no, it should be skippable, I guess. Wait, no, is that? No, I'm stupid. I'm thinking of Into the Breach. That game takes so long. This game's fine, I guess, the way, I mean, some things take a while, but the problem here is that there's too many times the same encounter. If you hadn't just put the same enemies in the same area a bunch of times, it would have been fine. Oh yeah, and enemies respawn. That's annoying. I wish they wouldn't do that. Especially, I mean, they don't respawn if you don't leave the area, but then when you leave the area, they've respawned. And that's just annoying. I mean, I think they could respawn after like a while, but they shouldn't respawn after you've just left an area and come back. That just makes you feel like you're not mattering at all. And another thing is that resources respawn the same way if you leave and enter. And there was a time where it told me to go to the forge to forge something, I guess. And it didn't give me the right resources. The thing just dropped one resource instead of two, and I needed two. And the trick was to come back. But I didn't assume that the crystals would respawn because you smashed them. I don't know why crystals would unsmash themselves when you leave and re-enter the level, and yeah, that was pretty bizarre. It took me a while. I re-explored the whole map trying to find that crystal, and oh, but then I come back and oh, the crystal has respawned off screen. Damn, if only I had realized. I didn't even realize that crystal was what that resource was. Well, silly me, I guess. Well, that now you know. If you're in the forge, you don't have the resource. To the right of it, there's a secret area, and well, you've been there once, I guess, if you have explored. But then you have to go there again if you want to get that resource twice, and you need it twice. Maybe it just fell off the map for me. I don't know. Seems like no one else has had that problem. Alright, anyways, check out Steven Universe the game if you want. I mean, I just couldn't stand not having Steven in my life, so I just needed to have more Steven at any cost, and the cost was 22 euros, so that's not too bad, I guess. Would have liked to wait for a sale, but I couldn't wait, and I'm glad I did, because it's great. Probably gonna rewatch the show again at some point. I just love Steven Universe. Well, subscribe for more random stuff like this. Probably not more Steven, but we'll see. Maybe I'll talk about that new She-Ra cartoon that everyone hates, but I like it. Oh no!